My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest blessings Allah has given us is time. Each moment is like a jewel. Once it is gone, it never returns. Yet many of us allow people to consume our time endlessly. We are there for everyone at every call, at every moment, until we forget ourselves, our families, and even our duties to Allah. Remember, Islam teaches balance. Yes, serving people is an act of worship when done sincerely, but it should never come at the expense of your faith, your health, or your responsibilities. Being kind does not mean being used. Being generous does not mean being drained. Sometimes when you are too available, people begin to take you for granted. They stop appreciating your presence. They expect you to sacrifice everything for them, and when you can't, they become upset. Ask yourself, are you living to please Allah, or are you living to please people? The Prophet A taught us moderation in everything. Even in worship, we are told not to overburden ourselves. So how can we justify overburdening ourselves for the sake of people's approval? Learn to say no when you must. Learn to protect your peace, because your peace is an amanah, a trust from Allah. True friends, true family will respect your time, your values, and your boundaries. Those who get angry when you prioritize your salah, your rest, or your responsibilities, they do not value you as they should. My brothers and sisters, you will never be able to please everyone. No matter how much you give, there will always be complaints. So aim to please the one who created you. When Allah is pleased with you, He places love for you in the hearts of people. But if you chase people's approval while forgetting Allah, you will exhaust yourself and still never be satisfied. So from today, value your time. Serve others for the sake of Allah, but don't allow yourself to be used. Protect your heart, protect your mind, protect your relationship with Allah. Because at the end of the day, it is not people who will judge you, it is Allah. Time is among the greatest favors granted by Allah. Every human being receives a limited share of it, and once a moment passes, no power on earth can bring it back. Each breath we take is part of our appointed portion, and once it is gone, it never returns. Understanding this reality is essential because many people live as if hours are endless, when in truth every second draws us closer to the meeting with our Creator. If we do not value our time, we will waste the most precious asset we have. Many people become occupied with matters that hold no weight in this world or the next. They sit for long periods, scrolling endlessly, chasing trends, or engaging in conversations that neither benefit the heart nor uplift the soul. Such distractions consume energy and leave us drained, yet they add nothing to our growth. Allah has blessed us with opportunities to seek knowledge, perform good deeds, nurture relationships, and develop ourselves. But when we surrender to meaningless activities, we trade priceless moments for emptiness. When the day of judgment arrives, we will not be asked how many hours we entertained ourselves, but rather how we invested the life entrusted to us. The Prophet Muhammad reminded us that among the blessings people neglect are health and free time. When a person enjoys wellness yet does not take advantage of it for worship, reflection, and righteous actions, they squander an immense gift. Similarly, when free time is spent without direction, regret follows. Many individuals cry out later in life, wishing they had spent their youth in prayer, seeking knowledge, or serving their families. At that point, however, the opportunity has passed. Our duty is to realize now, while strength remains, that time is wealth greater than gold. Being too available for others often causes us to misuse this wealth. People may call upon us for trivial matters, pulling us into endless cycles of errands, discussions, and favors that do not align with our true priorities. Of course, helping others is virtuous when done sincerely, but if we constantly give away our hours without balance, we lose the ability to fulfill obligations to Allah, ourselves, and those closest to us. Islam teaches us to place everything in its rightful place. Just as wealth has zakah, time also has rights. Salah requires a portion, Qur'an requires a portion, family requires a portion, rest requires a portion, and society has a portion. To dedicate everything to people while ignoring these rights is injustice. When we honor our time, we begin to live with purpose. Each day becomes a chance to move closer to Jannah. Even small acts accumulate. Reciting a short surah, making dhaka while walking, smiling at a parent, assisting a neighbor. These require only moments, yet their rewards may be eternal. But if our schedule is filled with unnecessary commitments, we have no room for such deeds. Imagine a person who spends 10 minutes daily gossiping. Over a year, that becomes more than 60 hours wasted in sin. Now imagine a person who spends 10 minutes reciting Qur'an. Over the same period, that becomes more than 60 hours of light, reward and guidance. The difference lies only in how one values time. Another aspect of valuing time is recognizing our limitations. We are not created to work endlessly or to entertain others without pause. Even the Messenger of Allah rested, prayed at night, worked during the day, and gave each responsibility its due share. If he, the most blessed of creation, managed his time carefully, how can we treat ours carelessly? Overcommitment leads to burnout, and burnout leads to neglect of worship and health. By learning to say no politely, we protect our energy for tasks that truly matter. This is not selfishness, it is wisdom. Our families especially deserve our time. Many people serve strangers, acquaintances, or colleagues while neglecting their parents, spouses, or children. They think they are being generous, yet those who have the greatest right upon them remain deprived. When we give away every hour to others, we often leave our homes empty of our presence. That absence cannot be replaced with money or gifts later. The smile of a child, the prayer of a parent, the companionship of a spouse, these are treasures that demand time. To waste such blessings by being constantly available to everyone else is a form of loss. Valuing time also means dedicating moments to self-reflection and spiritual growth. Without solitude, our hearts become clouded. A few minutes of sincere dua or sitting alone to ponder over Allah's creation can renew faith in powerful ways. But if we are always on call for people, rushing from one demand to another, we never pause to connect with our Creator. This disconnection eventually weakens Iman. Protecting our time ensures that we reserve sacred spaces within our daily routine, free from distraction, where we can remember Allah and recharge spiritually. When we understand that our lifespan is finite, we begin to view requests from others differently. Not every invitation must be accepted. Not every phone call requires immediate response. Not every problem is ours to solve. Some people will use us as long as we allow it, and when we are exhausted, they will move on without concern. By valuing our time, we gently teach others to value it too. Those who respect us will understand, while those who become upset reveal that they were never truly seeking our good. Time is life itself. If wealth is lost, it can be regained. If health declines, it may improve. But when a day is lost, it never returns. Each sunrise announces another chance to do good, and each sunset closes the door on what we failed to achieve. Allah will ask us about our youth, our health, our wealth, and our time, how we spent it and where we directed it. If we waste it chasing approval from everyone, we will regret it deeply. But if we guard it carefully and dedicate it to what benefits, we will find it waiting for us as reward in the hereafter. Every action a believer performs is judged by what lies within the heart. A deed may appear magnificent on the outside, but without sincere intention directed to Allah, it carries little weight. On the other hand, a seemingly small gesture, if done purely seeking the pleasure of the Almighty, can be elevated to immense reward. The difference is not the size of the effort, but the purpose behind it. This reality should make us pause before every step we take, asking ourselves honestly, why am I doing this? In life, people often exhaust themselves trying to gain approval from others. They serve, they sacrifice, they give time and energy, but in reality, their motivation is not Allah's reward. It is acknowledgement from fellow human beings. When recognition does not come, they feel hurt. When appreciation is not shown, they feel empty. That emptiness is the result of misplaced intention. Seeking satisfaction from creation instead of the Creator will always leave us disappointed, because no matter what we do, people can never be fully pleased. Someone will always have complaints. Someone will always find fault. Someone will always expect more. Only Allah rewards perfectly and justly. Consider a person who prays regularly. Outwardly, it is worship, but if the heart is seeking admiration from family or community, then the essence is lost. The Prophet A warned us about showing off, even calling it a hidden form of shirk, because it places people's opinion above the pleasure of Allah. Now think of someone who gives a coin in charity quietly without anyone knowing. That act might seem small compared to public donations, yet with pure intention, it may outweigh mountains of deeds. This shows us that the secret of every action lies within the unseen realm of our inner state. Purifying intention requires constant awareness. Shaitan works tirelessly to corrupt sincerity. Sometimes he whispers, "Do this so others call you generous," or "Speak beautifully so they think you are wise." If we listen to those whispers, our acts lose their worth. The cure is to remind ourselves repeatedly that people's praise cannot extend our lives, nor can their criticism shorten them. Provision is not in their hands. Paradise is not theirs to give. So why exhaust ourselves chasing their approval? Directing efforts to Allah alone brings peace, because His judgment is what truly matters. Intention also transforms ordinary tasks into worship. Eating, sleeping, working, all can become acts of devotion if the heart intends closeness to Allah. When you eat with the purpose of gaining strength to serve Him, every bite is reward. When you work honestly to provide halal sustenance for your family, every hour counts as ibadah. When you rest so that you can wake up energized for Fajr, your sleep is counted as worship. This is the power of intention. It elevates daily routines into acts of faith. At the same time, deeds without correct intention are like empty shells. Imagine a person who memorizes Qur'an but recites only to show off knowledge. On the day of judgment, instead of being honored, they may be among the first to be punished for insincerity. Another person might fight bravely, but if the goal was fame rather than Allah's cause, the struggle loses value. Such warnings remind us that sincerity is not a small matter. It is the foundation upon which everything stands. When we help people, intention must remain clear. Offering support to neighbors, assisting colleagues, spending time with relatives, all are opportunities to gain closeness to Allah if done with pure motives. But if the heart seeks status or fears losing popularity, then energy is wasted on fragile gains. People forget favors quickly, but Allah never forgets. With Him, nothing is lost, not even a smile given with genuine kindness. Sometimes we confuse kindness with people pleasing. There is a difference. Being kind for the sake of Allah earns reward, while pleasing others at the cost of disobeying Him leads to regret. For example, someone may remain silent in front of wrong because they fear upsetting people, yet by doing so they displease Allah. True sincerity is choosing His pleasure even when it risks upsetting those around us. That courage is proof of strong intention. Correcting intention is not a one-time task. It is a lifelong struggle. Before starting any action, pause and remind yourself, I am doing this for Allah. During the action, renew that thought. After finishing, ask Him to accept it. In this way, even if whispers come, you continue to realign yourself. This is why scholars emphasize muraqabah, awareness of Allah at all times, because it keeps sincerity alive. When intention is correct, life gains clarity. Stress lessens because you are no longer working to impress countless individuals. Instead, you have one audience, your Creator. This simplifies decisions. When you know He sees your effort, you do not crave applause. When you know He hears your dua, you do not despair if others ignore you. This mindset brings freedom from chains of people's expectations, giving the heart tranquility. Ultimately, sincerity beautifies relationships as well. When you love someone for Allah, that love is pure, free from selfish motives. When you serve your parents with intention of pleasing Him, service becomes light, not burden. When you give charity to help the needy, because Allah commands generosity, the act carries sweetness, even if nobody praises you. Such sincerity strengthens bonds, because actions come from faith, not from desire for recognition. Every day presents choices. Either we live seeking applause of creation, or we live seeking the face of Allah. One path leads to exhaustion, emptiness and disappointment. The other leads to serenity, acceptance and eternal reward. Intention is the compass that guides us on that journey, and if we set it correctly, even the smallest step carries us closer to our ultimate destination. Islam is a way of life built upon harmony, moderation and justice. Every command, every principle and every instruction revealed through the Qur'an and demonstrated by the Prophet emphasizes balance. A believer is not asked to withdraw completely from worldly matters, nor are they encouraged to drown fully in material pursuits. Instead, the path taught by Allah calls for a middle way where both body and soul receive their due share. By maintaining this equilibrium, one safeguards faith while also fulfilling obligations to family, community, and personal well-being. When Allah created human beings, He placed within them both spiritual and physical needs. To deny either aspect brings harm. Overindulgence in worldly pleasures hardens the heart, while extreme neglect of worldly responsibilities causes chaos. The Qur'an repeatedly reminds us not to transgress limits and not to fall short. This beautiful religion acknowledges hunger, fatigue, emotional bonds, financial requirements, and natural desires, while also commanding prayer, charity, fasting, patience, and remembrance. Perfection lies in giving everything its rightful portion without neglecting the rest. The Messenger embodied this balance in daily life. He worshipped intensely, yet he smiled with companions, visited neighbors, played with children, cared for family, and participated in trade. When some companions wanted to abandon marriage, avoid sleep, or fast without pause, he corrected them, saying that he prayed, fasted, married, and rested, and whoever turned away from his sunnah was not truly following him. This lesson teaches that spirituality must not crush humanity. A religion built upon mercy cannot be practiced through extremes. Many people struggle because they lean too far in one direction. Some dedicate endless hours chasing wealth, forgetting their prayers, neglecting loved ones, and treating life as if possessions will remain forever. Others withdraw entirely, shunning work, ignoring duties, and burdening relatives while claiming piety. Both extremes are harmful, for Islam rejects negligence as well as exaggeration. True devotion lies in giving each aspect of life its measure, recognizing that Allah created balance in the heavens and commanded humans to reflect that balance on earth. Even acts of worship are structured around moderation. Salah is performed at fixed times, dividing the day into cycles of remembrance without overwhelming tasks. Fasting is prescribed for specific periods, not endlessly, reminding us to appreciate blessings without denying ourselves permanently. Zakah requires a set percentage, leaving room for personal needs and growth. Hajj is compulsory only once in a lifetime for those able, not yearly for everyone. Through these regulations, Allah demonstrates mercy and wisdom, ensuring religion remains accessible for every believer regardless of status or strength. Maintaining balance also means distributing time fairly. Parents, spouses, children, friends, and society all have rights. Spending every moment outside chasing business while ignoring family is injustice. Similarly, spending all day at home without contributing to society or seeking sustenance is imbalance. The Prophet said that your body has rights, your family has rights, and your Lord has rights, and each must be given its due. This hadith summarizes the essence of moderation. Neglecting any responsibility disturbs the natural order. Another dimension of balance lies in emotions. Anger, love, sadness, and joy all exist for reasons, but uncontrolled emotions lead to harm. Islam advises controlling temper, forgiving when possible, showing kindness without becoming weak, and being firm when necessary without becoming cruel. Even generosity has a limit. One should give without wasting. Courage must be paired with wisdom, otherwise bravery becomes recklessness. Humility must not become humiliation, and confidence must not turn into arrogance. By maintaining equilibrium, believers cultivate character pleasing to Allah and beneficial to people. In modern times, imbalance has become common. Some chase careers until they lose themselves, while others neglect ambition completely. Some dedicate energy only to activism, forgetting personal worship, while others confine themselves to mosque, forgetting the world outside. Islam teaches that both realms must coexist. One can be active in society while remaining steadfast in prayer. One can build businesses while maintaining honesty. One can pursue knowledge while raising righteous families. The key is to avoid extremes and remember that success is defined by both dunya and akhirah together. Nature itself reflects Allah's principle of balance. The alternation of day and night, the rotation of seasons, the cycle of life and death, all display divine equilibrium. Excessive heat destroys, excessive cold destroys, but moderate climates sustain. Similarly, human life thrives when moderation governs choices. Eating excessively causes harm, starving oneself causes harm, but eating adequately nourishes. Sleep deprivation weakens the body, oversleeping dulls the mind, but sufficient rest strengthens. Observing these patterns teaches that balance is not only spiritual guidance, it is also scientific truth embedded in creation. Children learn from examples set before them. If parents display moderation, children grow balanced. If parents show extremes, children absorb imbalance. A household where salah, study, work, and leisure are given their rightful place produces healthy individuals. A household where either worldly gain dominates everything or worship is forced without compassion breeds resentment. Thus, balance is not only personal, it is collective, shaping generations and strengthening society. When believers achieve balance, their hearts remain steady. They do not swing between despair and arrogance. They do not burn out through overexertion, nor fall into laziness through negligence. They walk calmly upon the earth, fulfilling obligations while enjoying blessings, always mindful that excess in any direction leads to loss. This calmness radiates to others, inspiring communities to live with wisdom rather than haste. In this way, balance becomes a form of dawah, inviting others to Islam not through words alone, but through lived example of moderation and serenity. Allah has honored the children of Adam with dignity above many of His creations. This honor is not based on wealth, beauty, or strength, but on the soul that carries belief and the heart that remembers its Creator. Self-respect begins with recognizing this divine honor and living in a way that reflects it. When a person forgets their worth, they allow others to exploit, belittle, or misuse them, and in doing so they betray the dignity Allah has granted. Many people confuse humility with humiliation. Humility is a noble trait where one remains modest despite achievements, treats others with kindness, and refrains from arrogance. Humiliation, however, is lowering oneself unnecessarily, accepting mistreatment, or allowing constant exploitation. Islam calls believers to humility before Allah, but it never instructs them to humiliate themselves before creation. Maintaining self-respect is part of faith, for the believer who values themselves values the gift Allah has given them. Self-respect protects us from becoming tools in the hands of others. When you are always available at every call, people begin to expect your presence as if your life has no value beyond serving them. This does not mean we should abandon helping others, for service is beloved to Allah, but it means setting boundaries so that kindness is not abused. Even acts of generosity lose meaning when they strip a person of dignity. A believer gives from a position of strength, not desperation, and serves without allowing themselves to be trampled. The Prophet A carried himself with dignity in every situation. He smiled, he served his household, he assisted the poor, but he never allowed his honor to be disrespected. He taught companions that a strong believer is more beloved to Allah than a weak one, not because of physical power alone, but because of inner strength, confidence, and self-respect. When a believer knows their worth, they carry themselves with calm assurance, refusing to be degraded. That assurance is not arrogance, for arrogance is thinking you are above others, while dignity is knowing you are valuable without demeaning anyone else. Self-respect also involves guarding one's tongue and actions. A person who values themselves does not engage in lies, gossip, or disgraceful behavior, for such actions reduce honor. Protecting modesty, speaking truthfully, keeping promises, and behaving with integrity all elevate dignity. The Qur'an describes believers as people who walk humbly on the earth, avoiding ignorance. This humility is paired with strength of character. They do not respond to foolishness with foolishness, but with calmness and dignity. Allowing others to constantly drain your energy without purpose weakens self-respect. If you neglect your prayers because of people, if you ignore your health because of demands, if you abandon your dreams because of pressure, you slowly lose your identity. Self-respect requires protecting your time, your energy, and your heart. Saying no is sometimes necessary to preserve balance and dignity. Those who value you will understand, and those who do not understand were never truly concerned for your well-being. A believer with self-respect also chooses companions wisely. The Prophet A advised that a person is upon the religion of their close friend, So one should be careful whom they associate with. Surrounding yourself with those who uplift you, remind you of Allah, and respect your boundaries strengthens dignity. On the other hand, constant company with those who mock faith, belittle values, or take advantage of generosity diminishes self-respect. Protecting your environment is part of protecting your soul. Self-respect further involves guarding against sin. Every time we sin, we harm ourselves and lower the value of the soul that Allah has honored. Recognizing this helps us fight against temptations. A person who values their relationship with Allah will resist being dragged into behavior that stains their dignity. Even if they fall, they rise quickly with repentance because they know their honor lies in obedience, not in following desires. Another aspect of self-respect is recognizing limits in giving. Some people spend beyond their means just to impress others. They host gatherings they cannot afford, purchase items they do not need, and chase lifestyles that drain them financially, all to gain admiration. This is not respect, it is slavery to opinion. Real dignity comes from living within means, being grateful for what Allah provides, and refusing to place oneself in humiliation through debt or extravagance. Respecting oneself also means protecting emotions. Constantly seeking validation from others leaves one vulnerable to manipulation. If every decision is based on whether people will approve, then self-respect is absent. Instead, one should seek Allah's pleasure first, for His approval is the only approval that truly matters. When a believer lives by this principle, criticism does not destroy them and praise does not intoxicate them. They remain steady because their anchor is divine acceptance, not fleeting human opinion. Even in worship, self-respect has a role. Standing before Allah in salah requires dignity, clean clothes, pure body, focused heart. The way we present ourselves reflects the value we place upon our relationship with Him. When we pray carelessly, rushing without concentration, we show disregard for the honor Allah has given us. When we approach prayer with sincerity, humility, and dignity, we affirm that our worth lies in serving Him with respect. Parents must also instill self-respect in their children. When children grow up hearing constant criticism, mockery, or belittlement, they internalize weakness. But when parents nurture them with encouragement, discipline, and love, they grow with dignity. Such children learn to value themselves as servants of Allah, confident yet humble, generous yet firm, compassionate yet self-respecting. Raising children with dignity ensures future generations carry the honor of Islam proudly. A believer who respects themselves inspires others to respect them too. People treat you based on how you treat yourself. If you set boundaries politely, others will adapt. If you give without limits and tolerate mistreatment silently, others will continue to take advantage. By carrying yourself with quiet dignity, you teach others how to interact with you, and you also show them how a Muslim should live. Honored, balanced, and connected to Allah. Every believer is placed in this world for a limited period, and every moment draws nearer to the inevitable meeting with Allah. During this short journey, countless distractions arise: wealth, ambitions, relationships, entertainment, and responsibilities. Yet through all these engagements, the primary duty remains devotion to the Creator. Prioritizing faith is not about ignoring worldly affairs, but about ensuring that nothing comes before Allah in our hearts or actions. When faith stands above everything else, life gains clarity, purpose, and tranquility. Allah created human beings with desires and needs, but He also provided guidance so that these desires remain within limits. The Qur'an repeatedly emphasizes that this worldly life is temporary, a place of testing, while the hereafter is everlasting. To prioritize faith means living with awareness that every decision should bring us closer to Allah, not further away. When choices appear between pleasing Him and pleasing creation, the believer chooses His pleasure. This principle distinguishes those who succeed from those who waste their existence. Prayer is the greatest sign of prioritizing faith. When the call to prayer is heard, everything else should pause. Business, conversations, entertainment, and tasks must stop so that the heart can turn fully to its Lord. The Qur'an describes successful believers as those who guard their prayers. Neglecting salah for meetings, gatherings, or leisure shows misplaced priorities. When prayer is preserved, everything else falls into place. But when it is neglected, blessings are removed. Fasting, zakah, and pilgrimage all remind us of prioritization. Fasting teaches that even essential desires such as food and drink are put aside for the sake of Allah. Zakah reminds us that wealth is not entirely ours. Part of it belongs to the needy. Pilgrimage demonstrates complete surrender, leaving behind status, comfort, and possessions to stand equal before Allah. These acts are powerful reminders that faith must always come before self-interest. Prioritizing faith also means choosing halal over haram, even when temptation is strong. Sometimes earning through impermissible means seems easier or more profitable, but a believer refuses because faith comes first. Sometimes gatherings involve gossip, backbiting, or indecent behavior, yet a believer walks away because Allah's command weighs heavier than companionship. Every time we choose obedience over desire, we demonstrate that faith is not secondary but central. Family, work, and community are important, yet even they must not overtake religion. Providing for loved ones is worship when done sincerely, but if earning consumes every hour until prayers are abandoned, priorities are reversed. Caring for children is responsibility, but if children become excuses for neglecting obligations to Allah, then something has gone wrong. Islam teaches balance, but within that balance, faith always stands at the top. When difficulties strike, the priority of faith becomes even clearer. Some people turn to people for solutions, relying on them completely, while forgetting dua, forgetting reliance upon Allah, forgetting that ultimate control belongs to Him alone. Prioritizing faith means turning to Him first in hardship, trusting His plan, then seeking assistance through lawful means. When the heart anchors itself in reliance upon creation, disappointment is guaranteed. But when it anchors in Allah, peace fills it regardless of outcome. Faith must also be prioritized in identity. In a world where values are constantly shifting, some people compromise their beliefs to blend in or gain acceptance. They change how they speak, how they dress, or what they believe, fearing rejection. But the Quran praises those who say, "Our Lord is Allah," and then remain steadfast. Such steadfastness is only possible when faith stands as the highest priority, greater than image, popularity, or approval. The Prophet and his companions sacrificed wealth, comfort, and even lives to preserve their faith. They faced persecution, exile, hunger, and battles, but never abandoned belief. Their sacrifices remind us that Iman is not something secondary, it is the very reason we exist. Without it, wealth, power, or fame have no meaning. With it, even poverty, difficulty, and hardship become pathways to eternal success. Prioritizing faith transforms ordinary life. Work becomes a means of worship when intentions are aligned with Allah. Marriage becomes a source of reward when built upon His commands. Raising children becomes a continuous charity when guided by His teachings. Even resting becomes ibadah when done to gather strength for worship. Every action is elevated when faith guides it, and every action is lowered when faith is neglected. Neglecting faith for the sake of worldly pursuits is like trading diamonds for dust. This world will vanish, its pleasures will fade, its achievements will disappear. On the day of judgment, careers, degrees, status, and possessions will not matter. What will matter is whether faith remained our priority. Did we pray when we were busy? Did we give when we loved wealth? Did we remain honest when dishonesty promised gain? Did we choose Allah when desires called us away? These questions define success or failure. When faith comes first, Allah places barakah in everything. Wealth multiplies in unexpected ways, relationships strengthen, hearts find calmness, and guidance enters the home. When faith is neglected, blessings disappear, no matter how much effort is made. Prioritizing Allah does not take away from life, it enriches life. The Prophet taught that whoever gives priority to Allah, Allah will take care of their affairs, but whoever gives priority to worldly matters, Allah will leave them to those matters. This shows that true success is not in chasing dunya, but in securing akhirah. Every believer must regularly examine their life. Where does prayer stand? Where does Qur'an stand? Where does remembrance stand? If work, entertainment, or socializing has pushed these aside, then priorities need correction. Life is short, death is certain, accountability is near. To walk into the grave without having prioritized faith is the greatest loss. But to live every day with Allah as the first priority is the greatest victory. Healthy boundaries are a sign of wisdom and strength, not weakness or selfishness. Islam teaches us to be generous, compassionate, and helpful, but it also teaches balance and protection of dignity. Without boundaries, kindness is abused, time is wasted, and the soul becomes exhausted. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, they are about keeping relationships fair, balanced, and beneficial while ensuring that one's obligations to Allah and self are not neglected. The Prophet exemplified compassion, yet he also taught companions to respect limits. He welcomed guests, answered questions, guided communities, but he also took time for his family, for reflection, and for worship. His life demonstrated that serving others does not mean surrendering completely to their demands. By setting boundaries, he preserved his energy and gave each responsibility its due share. This shows us that even in the most blessed life, boundaries were necessary. When someone constantly says yes to every request, they soon find themselves overwhelmed. Exhaustion builds, resentment grows, and sincerity fades. A deed that began as service for Allah may lose value when performed under pressure or frustration. Boundaries protect sincerity by ensuring that acts of service come from choice and devotion, not from compulsion or fear of rejection. Saying no politely when needed allows you to say yes sincerely when appropriate. Healthy boundaries also safeguard worship. Many people allow social demands to interfere with salah, Qur'an, or remembrance. They feel pressure to attend every gathering, answer every message, or meet every expectation, even if it means missing prayer or delaying obligations. Placing limits ensures that time for Allah is never compromised. If gatherings coincide with salah, boundaries require pausing and praying first. If constant availability prevents spiritual growth, boundaries require stepping back. This is not neglecting people, it is prioritizing the Creator above creation. Boundaries further preserve mental health. Constant exposure to negativity, gossip, or complaints drains the heart. Islam warns against sitting with those who mock religion or waste time in useless talk. Choosing company carefully and limiting exposure to harmful environments protects Iman. Some relationships, though old or familiar, become toxic when they consistently pull a believer away from faith. Boundaries help maintain connection with people while avoiding harm to the soul. A believer can remain polite yet firm, present yet cautious, supportive yet not consumed. Even in generosity, boundaries are important. Charity is highly rewarded, but giving beyond one's means or neglecting personal responsibilities for the sake of appearances leads to hardship. The Quran warns against extravagance as well as miserliness. Healthy giving is thoughtful, balanced, and sustainable. A believer helps others without placing their own family in poverty or sacrificing obligations. Boundaries ensure generosity is consistent and pure, not reckless or harmful. Parents, children, spouses, and friends all require boundaries. Parents have immense rights, yet Islam does not allow them to demand disobedience to Allah. Spouses must respect one another's space and dignity. Children must be guided with love, but also with discipline that sets limits for their safety. Friends should offer support without crossing into control. Each relationship thrives when boundaries are clear, because boundaries prevent resentment, misuse, and imbalance. Boundaries also strengthen self-respect. If you never define limits, others define them for you. People may expect endless availability, endless sacrifices, endless patience, even when unreasonable. By setting boundaries, you teach others how to treat you. Those who value you will respect those limits, while those who only sought to exploit you may withdraw. Either way, boundaries reveal who truly cares and who merely consumes. Some fear setting boundaries because they believe it will make them appear unkind. Yet true unkindness is allowing yourself to burn out until you can no longer serve sincerely. True unkindness is enabling harmful behavior by never saying no. Islam emphasizes justice, and justice begins with oneself. Boundaries are part of that justice, ensuring you give without harming yourself, love without losing yourself, and serve without neglecting worship. Boundaries also help maintain focus on goals. Without them, time disappears into distractions. A believer who spends every evening fulfilling endless social requests may neglect studying Qur'an, building skills, or pursuing beneficial projects. By setting boundaries, they allocate time wisely some for people, some for work, some for family, some for personal growth, and most importantly, some for Allah. This way, every area receives attention without one consuming the others. Technology has made boundaries even more essential. Messages, calls, and notifications arrive at all hours, and many feel pressure to respond instantly. Yet constant connection often leads to disconnection from what truly matters. Boundaries with devices, turning them off during salah, family time, or rest, restore balance. Islam teaches us that hearts find peace in the remembrance of Allah, not in endless scrolling or responding. Protecting that peace requires clear boundaries with technology and with those who misuse it. Boundaries are also about protecting intentions. Sometimes we involve ourselves too deeply in other people's matters, hoping to be seen as helpful or admired as generous. Yet true sincerity lies in doing what pleases Allah, not what impresses people. Boundaries help us step back from unnecessary involvement, ensuring that when we do serve, it is meaningful, focused, and for Allah alone. This preserves purity of heart and prevents burnout. A believer with healthy boundaries lives with calmness. They serve generously yet preserve time for worship. They love sincerely yet protect dignity. They help others yet avoid being drained. They listen with kindness yet guard their peace. By setting limits, they reflect the balance taught in Islam, moderation in everything, justice for oneself and for others, and clarity in priorities. Such a life carries serenity because it follows divine wisdom, giving each aspect of existence its rightful place. Reflect for a moment on how quickly days pass. What felt like yesterday is already a memory, and what we thought would last forever has slipped through our fingers. This life is nothing more than a journey of limited breaths, and every heartbeat brings us closer to our final destination. We often give ourselves away so freely, answering every call, fulfilling every request, showing up for every demand, until we reach a point where our own soul feels empty. That emptiness is a reminder from Allah that He did not place us here to be consumed by the endless expectations of people, but to fulfill the purpose for which He created us: worship, obedience, and remembrance of Him above all else. It is important to understand that kindness does not mean neglecting yourself, generosity does not mean exhaustion, and availability does not mean slavery to others' needs. There is wisdom in balance, there is honor in self-respect, and there is freedom in boundaries. Our deen does not encourage us to abandon service to people, but it reminds us that everything must be done within limits, guided by sincerity and aligned with the pleasure of Allah. Without that, deeds lose their sweetness and relationships lose their harmony. Every one of us has experienced how people can change. Today they need you, tomorrow they forget you. Today they praise you, tomorrow they criticize you. This cycle never ends because the approval of creation is unstable. If you make your life revolve around winning hearts of people, you will constantly feel defeated. But when you dedicate your heart to Allah, when you give for His sake, serve for His sake, smile for His sake, and even say no for His sake, then you will never feel regret. His pleasure is lasting, His reward is eternal, and His acceptance is all that truly matters. By valuing your time, you value the gift Allah has entrusted you with. By setting intentions purely for His sake, you protect your heart from disappointment. By living with balance, you honor the rights of your Lord, your family, and yourself. By carrying self-respect, you shield your dignity. By placing faith first, you secure the foundation of your life. By setting healthy boundaries, you preserve your energy and sincerity. And by surrounding yourself with companions who appreciate your limits, you create an environment where growth and peace flourish. Each of these steps leads to a life of clarity, tranquility, and strength. So as you move forward, carry this lesson deep in your heart. Do not hand yourself over completely to people because they cannot grant you paradise. Protect your hours, protect your energy, protect your worship, and live every day with the goal of earning Allah's pleasure. When He is pleased with you, He will open doors of goodness you never imagined, place love for you in hearts that truly matter, and grant you peace that cannot be taken away. That is the true success of this journey. Thank you, everyone.